Hey, good morning. Hi, everybody. It's Bonita from the Trauma Recovery School, and welcome to all our new members. Welcome to our new members. Apologies to our older members. As you know, Friday mornings, I do my regular live in the group, and we deal with a topic that's come up for my clients on a week or our private Recover with Bonita Facebook group. We have various groups, various cohorts of people who are going through our program, and stuff comes up. And then I go live on the topic to shed some light, because knowledge is power. And when we know more about certain topic areas, we can do stuff about it. Now, one of the things that came to me this morning was that I didn't go live on Friday because it was my birthday, actually, and I opted to spend that with friends and family. And then on a Monday morning, it's my admin time. I'm getting myself ready. I actually commit to a gym class on a Monday morning and a Wednesday evening, and Fridays and Saturdays, because food and nutrition is a serious, important part. It is very much what we should be focusing on to help us with our journey to recovery. But we can also put things off. And this morning I thought, I'm going to be in my gym kit. I'm probably not going to have makeup on. And I was just procrastinating, thinking, no, that is not how you do it. You have to show up, and you have to be there, and you have to stop those emotions. You've got to stop that feeling of I'm holding myself back. Because is my message different? No. Is my knowledge different? No. Am I the expert in this area? Absolutely yes. So, moving on to our topic this week, confirmation bias. We all do it. You do it, and you don't even know it. And after today, I hope that we've been able to shed some light onto how to stop it, but how much worse it is when you are recovering from past trauma, and in particular PTSD. So what is confirmation bias? It's actually just our natural tendency to seek out, to interpret, and to remember information in a way that confirms our existing beliefs or hypotheses or situations, for example. It's kind of like having blinkers on, where you only see what you expect to see. And this is why we put blinkers on a cart horse, because we only want them to move forward. We don't want them to be affected by what's going on around them. So we need them to move forward only. But this creates tunnel vision. So what are some practical examples of confirmation bias, and why do we have to be so super aware of it? First of all, it will affect our job performance. Now, we can relate this in our sports performance, job performance, or any other area of interest to you. But, you may believe that I'm really bad at doing this part of my job. So what happens in there is you only focus on your mistakes and you ignore your accomplishments. We do it all the time. I'm so bad at this. I can't do this part of my job. When I was a child, and even into young adulthood, I was bad at maths. And it typically destroyed my GCSEs and my A-levels. And then I got to a point where I needed to retake GCSE maths 23 years ago when I moved to the UK. And I had to do it. And oh boy, was confirmation bias present every single day when I redid my GCSEs. Hey, did I do it? Yeah. Did I absolutely crack it? I absolutely did. How does confirmation bias affect your relationships? Now, this could be personal, direct, family, friends, colleagues, etc. But if, for example, if you're convinced that someone doesn't like you, you're only going to notice the instances where they ignore you, they overlook you, or where they maybe haven't been as friendly as you've expected them. So we almost make up, they should have been as friendly as this. They should have said hello to me. But we make it up, and then it doesn't happen, and then we confirm, they don't like us, or they don't like me. So how often we do this is when we are in a highly activated state, okay? We're in a highly activated state. And we look for confirmations of this in our family, our friends, and our colleagues. Like, they don't like me, they don't love me. Look, every time I say that, this person reacts to me. Confirmation bias. And then when you're in an activated state, so you've had a trigger, you've recognized that something's you've reacted to something in your past, and then your PTSD makes it worse. So how does our post-traumatic stress disorder, how does it actually make it worse? So PTSD is a mental health condition where we are triggered by an experience or by witnessing a traumatic event. Symptoms include flashbacks, bad dreams, severe anxiety, the stuff you guys deal with on a daily basis. But when we suffer from PTSD, confirmation bias becomes even stronger to have to deal with. And the trauma that you've undergone only fortifies certain negative beliefs or experiences. And then the world just becomes much smaller for us. So what are the examples of how confirmation bias affects us more when we have had PTSD or past trauma? So first of all, our personal safety. So for example, if our PTSD has come from an assault, we will automatically believe that the whole world is dangerous. And then we'll ignore the instances where things are absolutely fine and we are okay, like social anxiety, where we've been out and we've done well, we've got on a public transport, we've been into town, we've been in a shop. One incident where someone's looked at us, very, very prominent in social anxiety, that look, they don't like me. That group of people don't like me. It could literally just be that you've caught their eye and they've looked up at you and go, oh, it's so-and-so, and they've just gone on with their conversation. Totally normal and natural. How are you interpreting your world? So in this case, because of the confirmation bias, our personal experience confirms our fears. So we push loved ones away. We don't like being in public because of what everyone's apparently talking about us to everyone else, confirmation bias. And massively our self-image. So for example, if you believe that you're broken and weak because you've been assaulted, because you live with a narcissist, because you've had difficult relationships, because you've had toxic family environments, perhaps you're a war veteran, perhaps you've had a terrible experience, we'll overlook our strength and our resiliency and only focus on the vulnerability and how scared we are. So what is the effects of confirmation bias on us? First and all, it locks us in a negative cycle. So it traps you in a series of anxiety and what we call heightened alertness. So your amygdala goes on little radars and it goes beady, 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 beady. It's totally and utterly scanning your world, but it only looks for the negatives. It's got to confirm, oh my God, I have anxiety every day and I cannot do this. I cannot live. This world is too much. It's because of your confirmation bias. And what we have to do is we have to break the cycle because it's linked to your trigger. So can you see where all of this is linked to? So this is why it makes recovery so much harder when you're totally locked in this cycle and working on your own. And if you are working with a therapist, a counselor who's not, I would say, at the level of experience as perhaps I am, or the level of knowledge, you can't make up 13,500 hours of therapy in trauma and PTSD and not know your stuff. It becomes harder to piece it together because trauma is so vast. It's so massive. And you've got to have been a complete expert to be able to unpick a person's life apart and rebuild it, because that's what we have to do. There is no other way to recover from trauma and PTSD but to look at all the layers of your life. And unfortunately, when you work with perhaps amazing therapists and counselors out there that maybe are not multi-tooled or multi-skilled, they have one toolkit and they do it really well, and at that time they may relieve some aspect of it for you. It doesn't get rid of your trauma and PTSD. That's what I hear all the time. It also limits your treatment reception, like being open to different types of treatment. And, you've got to be open-minded when you're trying to recover from PTSD and trauma. And you've got to be in a position where you go, I've had enough. I can't live like this anymore. It's affecting every part of my life. But how easy is it for us as humans to go, it's all right, I'm just going to live with this a little bit longer because, hey, I don't want to spend the money. Hey, I don't want to put myself out there. Hey, that looks like it's going to be seriously hard work. It isn't really. It's a process that you have to follow. It's a series of steps that you have to go through to genuinely help yourself. And, of course, find the right process. So limiting your reception or opening up your reception to accepting treatments in an order, in a process that's been proven time and time to work, is genuinely restricted, okay? And it comes from your ingrained beliefs that I can't get better because look, all this evidence I've gathered for myself up here. And thirdly, relationship strain. It puts a massive strain on your relationships. And it can also put your confirmation bias in your relationship has catastrophic issues for you. So, you know, the combination of that can make misunderstandings more frequent. And then to reconcile is really difficult because you've got two people with contradicting points of view. You've got your confirmation bias. The other person's trying to perhaps live through your trauma. There's probably a high amount of compassion fatigue, and then you feel more isolated and more emotionally pushed aside. So confirmation bias is a massive mental stumbling block, and it's just reinforced when you've got PTSD. So it's an additional layer that you really, really don't need. So just for the next few minutes, I want to explain to you why are we so deeply affected by confirmation bias. And it's quite simple. It's your brain chemistry. And there's one concept I'm going to explain to you today, and that's about brain chemistry and the dopamine effect. Now, dopamine is our feel-good hormone. It's what we love. It's a feel-good neurotransmitter. And when something positive happens, including when our beliefs or our opinions are confirmed, whether they're right or wrong, we get a dopamine hit and we go, see, I told you he doesn't like me. Yep, I told you that. And look, my partner hates me and he's doing this and she's doing that. And every time I walk in the room, they've got to say this and he's got to trigger me. Confirmation bias is at play. Understand it, but that's our dopamine hit. The brain goes, thank you. You've just rewarded your brain. But you know what? It's not your fault because it's how it works. It's our job. And it's so hard when your brain plays against you. It's our job to understand, are we applying confirmation bias here? And can I take a step back? And what can I do about it? So when your pre-existing belief is confirmed, your brain lights up, bang, massive dopamine hit, makes us feel good, reinforces our beliefs. Now, there's no difference between that chemical reaction when we eat something amazing. Oh my God, Saturday night I had pizza. It was delicious. Oh, it's such a good curry. Oh, God, it was so good. Releases dopamine. When we exercise, it releases dopamine. Incidentally, I've gone through a massive decline in dopamine over the last 6 weeks because when I got back from, I was on business in America and I was on holiday and I came back and I got COVID and then I couldn't exercise and then I've had a few cortisol injections in my shoulder and I've had 6 weeks off. Do I want to go back to the gym? Not really, but I am today and I have to break the cycle because actually when I'm there, my brain goes, yes, I'm a massive dopamine addict. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I did crazy sports when I was about 10, 15 years ago, but it was all about the adrenaline, all about the dopamine hit. So I know that what's good for me is going back to the gym and it starts today. So what do we do in context of PTSD? The more dopamine we get, the more scarce the more the dopamine hits, the more we want to create those behaviors, okay? So we seek out our confirmations. It also becomes our survival mechanism. So we'll do things like we'll quickly judge situations and then we'll sum it up to our advantage. So it's a double-edged sword, right? And we just haven't evolved out of this really bad habit as human beings because thousands of years ago, we needed this life-saving response when we were confronted by a life-threatening situation, like there's a bear coming out the bush and you needed to run, okay? Or there was a lion chasing us, or we knew that if we stayed in this environment, we'd be eaten, right? Dinosaurs and all that. But It is just a survival mechanism. We are not in life-threatening situations anymore, or you may be at home, but generally when we walk out the door, we are generally safe, okay? So in terms of learning more about confirmation bias, do you do it? Do you subject yourself to it? Yeah, this is a very serious topic that needs a lot more discussion and a lot more conversation. So I hope that today I've given you a glimpse into why perhaps you may be feeling the way you do, especially in certain situations, locations with certain people. Just be a bit more aware that if you're applying confirmation bias, it's part of your PTSD and your symptoms. And also reluctance to accept and take help, and like book the call with me and have a conversation. Watch our masterclass. I put it at the bottom of all my lives. Listen to what we've got to say and then take action. The only person standing between you and recovery is you. So let's remove that barrier and work with someone that is trained and has a good system in place to help you through that. So if you're interested in the trauma recovery method, how we work, what we do, our structure, the amazing results that we get, we have a massive Google Drive of real life testimonials. Yep. If you ask me for it, you can have it. We don't have anything to hide. Apart from the fact that A, we get results, B, we help people recover, and C, they have a really, really good life after. What do you choose today? Have an amazing rest of your week as we move into November and then into Christmas. For some people it's good, for others it isn't. But hey, reach out. We are here to help you. Have an amazing Monday. Bye.